You see around 4,000 to 10,000 ads every single day, billboards, YouTube pre-rolls, Instagram posts, product packaging, store displays. Most people believe they simply ignore them. But here's the unsettling truth. Many of those ads still influence your decisions, without you realizing it. Because modern marketing isn't just about selling products. It's about understanding the human brain. And once marketers began studying psychology, behavioral economics, and neuroscience, advertising stopped being simple persuasion and became something far more powerful. The story actually begins over a century ago. In the early 1900s, companies believed advertising was purely informational. Describe a product, list its features, let consumers decide. But everything changed when psychologists started studying consumer behavior. One of the earliest figures in this shift was Edward Bernays, often called the father of modern public relations. Bernays understood something revolutionary. People don't make decisions purely through logic. They respond to emotion, identity, and subconscious triggers. And this discovery quietly reshaped the entire marketing industry. Instead of selling products, advertisers began selling feelings, confidence, status, belonging. And this is where things get interesting, because the brain itself contains several built-in shortcuts called cognitive biases. These mental shortcuts help us make quick decisions, but marketers learned how to exploit them. One of the most powerful is the scarcity effect. When something appears limited, the brain assigns it more value. Only 3 left in stock. Limited edition. Sale ends tonight. Suddenly the product feels urgent. The fear of missing out, often called FOMO, pushes people toward impulsive decisions. But scarcity is only one trick. Another powerful mechanism is social proof. Humans evolved as social creatures. For thousands of years, survival depended on following the group. If everyone in the tribe ate a certain food, it was probably safe. If everyone avoided something, it was probably dangerous. This instinct still exists, so when we see a product with thousands of 5-star reviews, our brain interprets that as safety. This many people can't be wrong. That's why websites constantly display phrases like bestseller, most popular choice, trusted by millions. But here's the strange part. Even strangers can influence us. A 1950s psychological experiment by Solomon Asch demonstrated how powerful group influence can be. Participants were asked to identify which line matched a reference line. The answer was obvious. But when actors in the room deliberately gave the wrong answer, many participants followed them anyway. The brain prefers agreement over accuracy. Marketers understand this perfectly. And this is where another psychological trick appears. It's called anchoring bias. When people see an initial number, their brain uses it as a reference point for value. Imagine seeing a jacket priced at $500, then suddenly it's discounted to $150. The brain perceives a huge deal, but without the original anchor price, the product might have seemed expensive. Retailers use this technique constantly. Original price, crossed out, new, limited time to price underneath. The anchor shapes perception before logic can intervene. But perhaps the most fascinating marketing trick involves dopamine. Dopamine is often called the brain's reward chemical, but scientists later discovered something surprising. Dopamine isn't just released when we receive rewards, it's released when we anticipate rewards. That anticipation drives curiosity and excitement. Modern advertising is built around this principle. Teaser trailers, mystery product launches, countdown timers, unboxing videos. Each one creates a dopamine loop in the brain. You feel the excitement before the product even arrives, and that emotional anticipation increases the likelihood of purchasing. But marketing psychology doesn't stop there. Another subtle technique is called the decoy effect. This occurs when a third option is introduced to manipulate a decision. For example, a small coffee ending $3, large coffee $7. Many customers choose the small option, but introduce a third choice. Small, $3, medium, $6.50, large, $7. Suddenly, the large option feels like the best value, even though the price barely changed. The medium option exists only to push people toward the expensive one. Behavioral economists have studied this phenomenon for decades, and businesses use it everywhere, from streaming subscriptions to airline ticket pricing. But here's where marketing becomes even more sophisticated. Companies now use neuromarketing. This field combines neuroscience with advertising research. Scientists measure brain activity using tools like functional MRI scans and eye tracking technology. They observe how consumers react to colors, packaging, sounds, and brand logos. For example, red can stimulate urgency, blue creates trust, gold suggests luxury. Even the shape of product packaging can influence perceived quality. Rounded designs often feel friendly, sharp designs feel powerful. These subtle cues trigger emotional responses before the rational brain even engages. And now add modern technology into the equation. Algorithms on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok analyze massive datasets about user behavior. They track click-through rates, watch time, engagement patterns, and browsing habits. Machine learning models then predict which advertisements are most likely to capture attention. In other words, the ads you see are not random. They are algorithmically optimized for your specific psychological profile. This system is called targeted advertising, and it's incredibly effective. But here's the unsettling part. Sometimes the algorithm understands your preferences better than you do. It learns from thousands of behavioral signals. What you watch, what you pause, what you hover over, what you ignore. Over time, the system refines its predictions until the advertisements feel strangely relevant, almost personal. But despite all this technology, the core strategy remains ancient. Marketing works because it taps into fundamental human instincts. Desire for status, fear of missing out, trust in social groups, curiosity about rewards. These instincts evolved long before modern commerce, but today, they're being used in highly sophisticated ways. And this raises an important question. Are we actually choosing what we buy? Or are our choices being quietly guided by psychological design? Because once you start noticing these patterns, advertising begins to look very different. The limited offer, the influencer endorsement, the 5-star reviews, the dramatic discount, they're not random marketing decisions. They're carefully engineered signals aimed directly at the human brain. Understanding these signals doesn't make you immune to them. Even psychologists and marketers fall for the same tricks, but awareness creates a moment of pause, a chance to question the impulse, and maybe that's the real defense. Because in a world where billions of dollars are spent studying how our minds work, the most valuable skill might simply be recognizing when someone is trying to use your brain against you. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden psychology shaping our decisions, make sure to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more documentaries exploring the fascinating science behind everyday behavior.